the Gauteng province finding itself in a perfect storm of major intermittent water supply due to continued power cuts, the high temperatures leading to more than average water use, as well as major leaks due to aging infrastructure. These are just some of the issues. Let's get yet another perspective on why provinces such as Gauteng are facing water challenges, despite the dam levels being over 90% full. We're joined by the Associate Professor in the Department of Geography in Unisa, and that's Professor Anja du Plessis. Prof, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. You've written a very interesting piece, and so I'm going to allow you the opportunity to explain to viewers your take of why we find ourselves in the situation that we are in, especially in Gauteng. So the dam levels, 90% and some over 90% full. We've heard many explanations from the authorities. What is your view about why residents do not have water?
Well, I think you've provided a very good summary on why we are in the situation that we are finding ourselves in. It's a multifaceted issue. Firstly, as you say, that the age infrastructure is an issue. Some of the pipes are more than 100 years old. There's a lack of maintenance. Then we also had the perfect storm of above average temperatures, which increased the water usage. But then also we have the issue of continued blackouts, which affect the reservoirs, whereby they're not able to recover after how many hours of without any electricity. So it's a multifaceted problem. It's a management problem, as well as then a lack of political will, you can also say. Reactive management is the primary issue here. This issue should not have been occurring in Joburg. If maintenance was taking place, if proper spatial planning was taking place, we could have averted this at this point in time. However, as you say, the integrated valve system is above 93%. So that poses a question of what will Johannesburg, as well as the other metropolitan areas, be faced with if we do indeed experience a drought like is currently happening in Nelson Mandela Bay. And we have the water available. However, the means of the water becoming available towards the consumer is the primary issue at this point in time.
Yeah. Prof, we're going to talk about reactive management, because that's something that I think you can expand more on, but I want to touch on infrastructure. Yesterday, it was towards the end of last week, Rand Water, the CEO, talking at length, but the words I picked up from him was that he says, we have been putting more water into the system. We have not been reducing, but the danger we face is that by putting or pumping more water into the system, we're going to collapse the system, and therefore, he says, we need to manage differently. What is he telling us about the state of our infrastructure?
Well, first of all, by pumping more water, that is not a solution at this point in time. Maybe a short-term solution. However, it's not sustainable for the metropolitan areas. I think what the Rand Water CEO was trying to say is that our pipes only have so much capacity. We know that the infrastructure is very old. So if you increase the pressure by adding more water into the system, you will have major issues. There will most probably be more pipes that are bursting due to the system not being able to accommodate the increased pressure.
Let's then get to the element about reactive management. If there was proactive management, would we be sitting in a situation we are? And what does proactive management mean in terms of the management of our water systems?
Look, if we had proper planning as well as spatial planning of Joburg expanding, if we had up-to-date statistics available as well, or up-to-date data, we could improve on our management practices. However, this issue has not been developed overnight or the past 3 weeks. We've been sitting with dilapidated infrastructure as well as the decaying thereof for the past 2 decades. Our political system and government, they've been mostly focusing on the establishment of new infrastructure, which is needed, especially in your vulnerable areas as well as the rural areas. Especially with the people in Limpopo. The Giyani Water Project is a very good example of that, whereby it's been in the process for I don't know how many years, since 2014, with promises being made to say that, listen, we are going to improve management, we are going to hold more people accountable. However, the people there in over 50 villages are still sitting with intermittent water supply. Then if we go back towards our situation in Johannesburg, if the infrastructure was properly maintained, if the pipes were actually maintained as well to ensure that we don't experience pipe bursts, if leakages were fixed on a proactive manner or in phases, we would have most probably not be in the situation that we are now. It would not have escalated to where we are, where some people I know in Melville and Fourways, they've been sitting without water for 3 to 4 weeks. And only now the municipality is adding water tankers for those affected communities. So it just is an issue whereby we can see the reactive management taking place now by basically being crisis management. Proactive management is where, as I said, where we try to do proper spatial planning. We know that the population is increasing. Our rural-urban migration is also an issue. We're striving for increased socioeconomic growth, which all places additional pressure on your current water supply. Then, if you don't maintain your water infrastructure, you are sitting with where we are now at this point in time, where the amount of water is getting lost to such an extent whereby the systems are collapsing or can't recover.
Authorities will often cringe when we say, who's to blame? And they'll quickly tell you, no, it's not time to apportion blame. We're in a crisis. Let's start apportioning blame, Professor du Plessis. So, Rand Water says, I am the bulk water supplier. I'm not responsible for reticulation. That means actually distributing water into houses. And therefore, the people who are responsible for that, those are the municipalities, the municipal entities. Who's to blame for reactive management between the bulk water supplier and the municipalities, those who are responsible for piping or getting water into people's houses?
Look, if we look at South Africa's water governance structure, you have the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation, which is at the top, which is mandated, and also the primary custodian of the country's water resources. So we can start there. In terms of actually supplying consumers with water, yes, it is the municipality who is the primary service provider there. However, for Rand Water to start pointing blame and pointing fingers towards the Joburg Water and other municipalities. Look, I don't think it's time for us to point fingers and saying it's not me, it's you. We have to start working together to try and fix this issue. And also by blaming the consumer at this point in time is also flawed. They are saying that Joburg consumers are using more than 300 liters per person per day. However, that includes your non-revenue water, which is basically water being lost by your water leakages as well as the bursting pipes. So if we deduct the 40% of the over 300 liters per person per day, it comes down to a figure of people actually using much less water. Approximately, you can say 180 liters per person per day, which is close to the global average of 174. So to place the blame on the consumer at this point in time, I don't think is productive. By saying that we are addressing the issue on a priority basis, I don't know whether that's going to be wise as well. By also saying that, no, we're fixing the problem by giving you more water, as I said previously, that might lead to other issues as well. escalating, pipes bursting, as well as then your leakages becoming worse. So at this point in time, it is the whole water sector that actually plays a role. As I said, the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation, they are the primary custodian. They have to then keep the municipalities accountable for the manner in which they are currently managing the water resources. And we know that from statistics that most of our local municipalities, unfortunately, are dysfunctional due to many reasons that has been given previously. So for Rand Water obviously also plays a role. They might not be the primary cause of the issue. However, they also have to take some kind of accountability for maybe the failure of their pump stations, or maybe they've also not kept up with maintenance. We won't know. However, we know that we do have a major problem.
Yeah. Final question. Are we on a permanent decline? And is there anything that can be done to arrest the situation, if your opinion is that we're on a permanent decline?
Look, if we do like proper immediate interventions, we will be able to increase the quality of infrastructure at this point in time. We are lucky enough to once again be in a La Nina phase, whereby we will receive above average water. However, usually after a La Nina, you usually have an El Nino, whereby you experience below average water, like we did in the drought of 2015 to 2018. So I don't think that it is a complete hopeless case. There are measures and interventions available that Rand Water, the municipality, as well as the Department of Water and Sanitation can take. However, there has to be political will at the end of the day to try and sustainably address this issue. We can't just keep on managing the symptoms in a reactive manner. We have to go down to the primary causes of the issue. If that is that there is maladministration or there is misappropriation of funds, that needs to be investigated so that we can see what we are sitting with, so that we can then implement proactive management measures to address those issues.
Anja du Plessis, thank you very much for your time. She's Associate Professor in the Department of Geography at the University of Unisa.